Okay, this is going to be an early update to the 75-gallon tank. It's technically not April yet, but I'm going to make some changes to the tank, so I wanted to make sure I catch it before the change. So let's start with some of the major changes in the tank since the last video. So first of all, you'll notice that my wave maker there is now pointing a different way. It was pointing down towards the glass, the back glass. The problem with that was it was just beating up my background plants. It was just like pushing them around too much, and it was having some weird growth. So I am now pointing it upwards and more towards diagonally. And this is achieving several things. One is it is now creating more water agitation so that there's more oxygen exchange. The flow of the water is actually improved in terms of pushing debris towards the intake, I've noticed. So that is actually also very good. It's better with this position. And then the other thing is it is also keeping debris from settling in this clump of moss here on the branch. So far I'm liking it. I think that was a good change. Second big change, if you notice that a lot of the moss are missing from this branch now, and also from this one. There was just too many moss that was growing scraggly, kind of like that, or it's just a single strand. I really don't like that look, so these are actually probably going to be removed also here. What I'd like to see is something like this, where each stem has multiple stems that are growing on each side. It looks more like a pine tree leafage look. If you've ever seen the moss in the 800-gallon shrimp tank from Flip Aquatics, that's what I'm trying to achieve. I want them to be this robust and layered, just like in their tank. I think this one is still too scraggly. This one's kind of close, but so I'm leaving that one alone. This one is kind of okay also, but it's also kind of buffering the current from being too fast. The other change is over here. You notice that the Rotala, it's finally looking good. It's growing fast, it's producing more leaves, it's got more color, and I think this is because of my increase in dosing the Flourish Excel from every other day to every day. At least it seems to have coincided with that change. The same thing with this Bacoba here. And in fact, the Bacoba and that Ludwigia that's sitting back there, those have not grown since I planted them back there until recently when I increased the dosage. The other change is I got a surface skimmer. This is doing two things. It's getting rid of stuff on the surface like it should, and I only turn this on at night, so it's performing water agitation that's not quite as strong as that at night for oxygenation, because that wave maker turns off with the lights. So I turn this on at night, more water agitation at night, and then it's clearing out the surface. And this thing was like $13, and it works really great. And if you set it up correctly, it's very quiet, and it works really good for $13. That's awesome. All right. The other improvement in terms of plant growth is my favorite plant in this tank, the pennywort. I just have not had too much success with these guys. They haven't grown much, or when they start producing leaves, the snails eat them. And this one plant right here is really looking good. looking promising. In fact, the rest of them, except for that one here, are looking pretty good. So I'm excited about that. I'm envisioning this like wrapping around a bunch of stuff on this side of the tank, and then maybe like wrapping around some of the log and coming like halfway across the tank. I think that's going to look really good. The other thing about plant are the Java ferns. Now, these guys, and it's happened in more than one of my tanks, so I don't think it's a coincidence, but these guys seems to really respond to iron dosing. I originally was dosing iron to get more red in these plants and in the Ludwigia, but what I've really noticed is when I don't dose iron or I forget to, the leaf growth just almost seems to stop. And then when I pick it up again, they just like instantly, you can definitely tell the growth within a day or two. So they love iron, which I never knew about. Now the Alternithera renickii, they're still not really showing any kind of, I mean, they're not dying. I'm not seeing a lot of growth, and I'm not seeing a lot of new leaves. Maybe they're just really slow growing. But hopefully they'll do well, because I really want them to accent this area here with some more red. The Ludwigia, of course, have just taken off. I've like trimmed these several times and replanted them in the area, so it's starting to look really bushy and dense, which I like. The Bucephalendra are finally having some leaves. Like this guy right here, you can see that right there is a new growth. There's several, there's another one right there. And then this side, the top two leaves there, those are new growth. And then there's also a bunch of growth like showing down here, which, let's see. So that's really looking promising. And more about plants. I don't know, you will notice that in previous videos, this area here and that area right there had rocks, and I really just wanted to put rocks there to keep the fish from pushing all the dirt back onto my sand, because I don't want it there. I keep cleaning it out and I keep finding more and more down here, but I didn't like it there because they look really unnatural. So I decided, because I've had these plants growing in my 10-gallon, and I kept trimming them, and it looked like a really good carpet plant. So I figured, yeah, I'll do the same here. So I do a clump, and I rubber band them to a rock to keep them from floating, and I just have several clumps here. And eventually I keep trimming them. I want it to cover that area. I want to get rid of this big thing of like moss right there. I want it to go all the way across to this Java fern here. And I want it to come across, I'm going to get rid of that rock. And then I want it to come across here, like covering half this rock with this pearlweed. And I want to do the same thing here. Get rid of that rock. I think it'll just look more natural. Okay, the last thing about plants, I'm really not liking the way these dwarf sage are growing. It's just looking too messy, and it's almost hiding my crypts. I want the crypts to pop because of the contrast between the white sand and the dark leaves. But because there's so much of this stuff right here, it's just hiding it. The other reason is that it's starting to take over, and I want to make sure there's enough sand surface here where my cory cats can still browse for their food. And it'll also make it easier for me to get rid of the dirt here that I scoop up every time I do a water change. So those are going away. Let's see. The dwarf, the mini Anubias are looking good. They're producing lots of new leaves. This one here is looking really good, and I think it's looking good down here. That one there, it's on the branch.
It does.
Yeah. Hang on one second, Corey. So, the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start telling you guys the names of our fish, because we started naming them. I'm going to start out with this guy right here. He is the lone surviving coral red platy. And I said, you know what, this guy is starting to look like a ping pong. And it's about the size of ping pong. So I called him Ping. And my older son said, well, how about Pong? So he's, technically Ping Pong. That's his name. I'll start naming the other ones in the next videos. The other thing I would like to show, because I haven't really seen these in other videos, just little practical things that I've kind of gotten to learn on my own. And one of the most annoying thing that I've had to deal with are these guys. Buying a thing of super glue and not being able to use it again because the lid just gets stuck. You can't open it, and then you try to and they start leaking out the back. I was just getting frustrated. So what I did was I just cut out the tip, and I'm just using a screw. Now I can use the rest of this without ruining it, because I can just use a screwdriver to open this. I just call these practical tips. I haven't seen too many YouTubers talk about these things. So anyways, that is the update. Thank you for watching, and if you have any comments, comment below, and subscribe. That would be cool. Thank you.